Cooper Flagg and the Duke Blue Devils took on Otega Oweh and the Kentucky Wildcats in an epic early season matchup that went down to the wire. What did we learn about both teams and what does it mean for the rest of the season? Find out now. Let's start this whole thing off by talking about Cooper Flagg. He was the game's high scorer and he popped, but it was really kind of a double-edged sword for him, and there were some good things and some bad. Let's start off by, where he excelled. So he was really able to show three-level scoring ability. So moving off the ball, he was efficient. He had the ball in his hands just for a really large portion of the game, working a screen and roll. And when you're putting a big on a big, it's tough to defend. Because you're asking two guys to provide a level of pressure that they might not used to be doing. He knocked down a couple shots. He was really relentless in getting to the rim, and we'll talk more about that later. But he was able to make things happen and was asked just to do a ton. And for a guy who's in his third college game, that's just a really tall task. And so kudos to him for being able to deliver the goods more often than not. The overall production was certainly there. But on the flip side, you look at his efficiency, and it really wasn't there this game. Now, did Cooper Flagg miss some open shots? Absolutely, but he was also forcing some stuff up, like really just trying to get his head down and get to the rim and make things happen when really that's not what he needed to do. Like, I think he took too much upon himself this game, and the team really struggled because of it. Now, moving forward, I think you're going to see a mixed bag of this throughout the year. There's going to be some nights where he's very efficient and plays within the offense a little bit more, but when you see tighter matchups like this against really well-equipped teams, it's going to be hard. And we're going to talk more about what Kentucky did specifically, because I think they did a fantastic job guarding him and really a whole Duke team for that matter. It just wasn't the most efficient night for him. This really just leads me into talking about Kentucky's defense overall. They were stifling, to put it at a minimum. They really just controlled what Duke was trying to do and made them make mistakes again and again and again. You'll see throughout these clips, but Kentucky was just funneling Duke into just help after help. Like you couldn't get away from it. They were, active with their hands, active with their feet, and really as soon as a Duke player committed to a drive every single time, they were just suffocating. They were collapsing in on that ball handler. They were walling up at the rim really well, and it kind of exposed some of the Duke guards. They weren't sure what to do, and they were unable to make a good play. They finished with several blocks, several steals, and really I think when you're a Kentucky fan looking at this, you have to be pleased by that after what you've seen from John Calipari over the past couple years. I think this is a message that Mark Pope teams are going to play really solid defense, make you earn everything, and play within a system that just disallows players to go off. When you look at Kentucky offensively, they weren't that efficient either, and no one player absolutely went off. They were very balanced, but I think Andrew Carr is someone to pinpoint, as he is just fulfilling a really important role for Kentucky, and I'll show you some clips that really illustrate that. Carr's versatility just opens up so much for all the rest of the players Kentucky is putting on the floor. Out of pick and roll situations where usually your big would have to really get to the rim and defend, Carr's popping that and making them space out to a point where they're uncomfortable. He can also change things up, drive to the rim if guys try to close out too aggressively. He's just able to do so much that's beneficial for Kentucky and is just a huge weapon for them. Another player who really stood out to me was Otega Oweh, and I'm just really starting to fall in love with his game. He's someone who doesn't need the ball in his hands to make a huge impact. The more I watch of Oweh, just the more it seems like he is a skilled junkyard dog who is going to make things happen any way that he can without having to have the ball in his hands. So whether that's crashing the boards and using his athleticism to create easy second chance baskets, spotting up and patiently waiting for the ball to swing back around to him and knock down a three, or getting a steal and getting out in transition, he really is just getting his nose in the play and making things happen through sheer will. You got to love it. He ended up scoring what would be the winning free throws. Just love his game. One of the lone areas of concern I would have if I were a Kentucky fan would be Jaxon Robinson. He was one of the higher rated guys from the portal. He just was ineffective on offense, didn't really hit his shots, and we'll look at some of his misses. But overall, he continued to play defense. That is encouraging. It did not detract from the rest of his game, and I wouldn't get too worried when you see what he missed. Looking at the shots that he missed, they were really, quality looks for the most part. He was open. He wasn't forcing the issue, which is something positive when a guy's struggling. And, it's something that I think is going to be easily correctable and hopefully rebound with time. I wouldn't be too concerned. When I reflect back on this game, I'm taking away a few things as I kind of consider this for the rest of the season. First, Cooper Flagg is as advertised and can score really how he wants to do it. But he can really get inefficient if he's just going to give in to what the other team's trying to force him to do. On the Duke side as well, I think some of their other players really showed some inefficient traits as well. And if I'm a Duke fan, frankly, that's really concerning to me as the season moves on. From the Kentucky side, man, am I a fan of what Mark Pope has been doing from the get-go. I had him in some of my perfect portals of the year. I think they're set up to do an amazing job this year and go on a really good run that's going to culminate with a deep tournament run. And I truly believe that. They have the pieces in place. They seem to be bought in and running a system. I love it. But thank you for being here today. I hope you enjoyed it. Hope to see you on the next one. Please like and subscribe.